Hello, friends. Welcome to what many should describe as a work in progress stream. Work in progress because I have really no idea what I'm doing. Yes, sideways thumb. So I want to introduce the bits of, well, let's move the wrist rest and the other wrist rest off. It's just going to definitely work in progress vibes going on. I am going to be, unfortunately, deaf for most of the stream because, well, I'll show you. These are what I normally use for monitoring, listening to games. It is a wired headphone set. These are the Shure SM, no, not SM. SM is the microphone. SE215. And the great thing about these is these little earbuds are entirely replaceable and the cable is entirely replaceable. You can buy them both. However, the completed set is $100. Each one of these buds individually is $50 and the cable is $25. So I am in need of replacing this particular one because it's got a little chip in the plastic near where it connects. And it doesn't always stay connected there. I mean, it'll stay during normal use, but like if you were to run on a treadmill with it or something, it's going to probably pop out. But eventually I am going to need to replace this bud as well. Not for another bit. So it's, you can actually see it, how loose it is. It's not supposed to be that loose. Anyway, that was just a little warm up, show you what I'm working with. So, what we're going to do for part of this stream is a little show and tell. The mic might also sound a little bit weird because normally my Blue Yeti is right here when I stream. So I will have the camera pointed up and my VTuber model feeding off of the camera up here. And then I have all of this stuff kind of pushed up. I had to get some towels for the edge because I was getting all sorts of weird marks on my arm. Kind of painful marks too. From that. Mouse is up here. I've got the MMO mouse, boys and goys, and don't feel like you have to get a $150 Razer mouse. This is a Venus mouse from UTech Smart. They only produce mice and like one other small thing. It's not a keyboard because I looked. I like this mouse enough. The mouse retails right now for $35. $35 and you get 12 side buttons for your MMO experience. A back button, your two clickers obviously, adjustable DPI, scroll wheel with button as well. And this mouse I have been playing MMOs with, including Final Fantasy, raiding with for, how long have I been? 4 years. Before that, I played Guild Wars 2 with this. Guild Wars 2, I think, only has 8 buttons, but I still use these first 8 for Guild Wars 2. And it's still kicking. The only problem I ever had was like a crumb got stuck in button 12 one time, and I thought the button was dying because I couldn't really move it. Well, I shook it around and that crumb fell out. Gross as that is, I need to clean my equipment more. And it started working again. So we're going on 6 or 8 years with an adjustable DPI laser mouse, comparable to Razer in quality, I would say. Oh, by the way, this pops out and you can put in more or fewer weights. I don't know that I have any weights in there right now. Yeah, I play with no weights in my mouse. But you can, it came with something to do that. Now, I'm not sponsored by, ooh, oh, there it is. You can actually see these are where the little weights sit, and you can include up to 8 of them in that. Now I've got to make sure it actually closes all the way. Is that it? That's it. Okay. Okay. So, now that we got that out of the way, yeah, I need to mirror this camera somehow because this is my right hand. I keep moving it. And yeah, so I'm getting mixed up on the movement. But let me show you the ASMR mic base materials. I may or may not have posted these somewhere. So we've got, first off, our silicone ears. Now, these ears were not terribly expensive. I think they were in between $9 and $17 for the pair of them, US dollars. And they have, you can actually, if I hold it a certain, you can see the ear canal is partially built through these already. So all I've got to do is punch a hole back here and connect it to that ear canal that you can see inside the silicone. And that is going to give me the ear portion. Pretty tough. The only thing I'm thinking, like, I have held these up to my ear and rubbed them a bit, like a lot of ASMR artists have done, just to see if it sounded the same, and it does not at all sound the same. Yet. Doesn't sound the same yet. I'm sure with a little bit of oil applied, it will still produce the slick oil sound that those of us who enjoy ASMR really like. But I wasn't able to produce a consistent dry rub sound because the silicone, whether it's new condition or just the makeup of clear silicone, it's too sticky right now for me to get the right amount of friction going down. So we've got our matched pair, our left and our right, that are going to go inside the mic there after we, of course, poke out those. So let's put these to the side. This camera is not quite as wide as I want it to be either, but normally the camera is only used for capturing my facial expressions for the VTuber model. So, important for every endeavor, I have a pocket knife. This is a Kershaw. Funny story about Kershaw, and I'll explain all these fun little bits. Those of you who are pocket knife enthusiasts might have already caught on some of the good parts of this. But Kershaw, I actually picked up one of their knives off the ground when I was working as a bouncer in a bar. And what was I saying? Picked one up off the ground. It was fairly sharp. So I took it, I mean, you can kind of, sort of, the mic's over here. I haven't sharpened this thing in years. So I picked it up. I really liked Kershaw. And then I found another Kershaw. Their clips are not deep, very deep on any of their knives. I found another Kershaw in a parking lot somewhere. And after looking around for the owner, of course, they're not going to be there. They left like hours ago and they have no idea it's gone until they go to use it in like 3 months and realize that it has left their pocket, as if they didn't wash their jeans at all during that time. So I worked as a furniture mover for a little bit, and we were constantly assembling and disassembling people's furniture, beds, tables, the really, really heavy stuff. So I needed this because we plastic wrap a lot of their stuff, and the plastic wrap is not reusable. So we have to cut it off. So I got this portion, the knife blade for cutting off the plastic that we wrap their furniture in to keep it from getting damaged. And then in order to put together their bed frames and stuff, you have an inch or imperial measure over here. You have your centimeters, millimeters over here. And those of you who know your way around tools, that is a slot for a hex bit. That's right. Built right into the handle, we have 2 Phillips that fit right in. There's a little magnet in the bottom too. You can kind of see that in there. They fit right in, and you can tighten, loosen. I've got some hinges. I'll be showing you the hinges in a bit, but I just thought this thing, when I looked on Kershaw's website, looking at knives because I really liked Kershaw, and I was looking for a utility knife to use for assembling the furniture and taking it apart and stuff. It's so satisfying. Plus, if you're in a job where you can drink, you have a a beer cap opener on that end. That's right, you can crack open a cold one with the boys while you're building furniture. Do not recommend. Don't do it. Speaking of which, I like my flat heads to be actually like flat in there. Not that it makes much of a difference. Like, this is deep enough that even if the flat heads were not flat in the casing, it'd be way down in there. Like, I freaking love this knife. Not sponsored by Kershaw. I just really like their products. So we've got this. This I am probably not going to use on these. The main reason is you got to use the right tool for the right job. And if you're looking at that, it widens way too much to even get down that little bit of a distance in there to widen out the ear canal. So I will not be using that to do that. Let's move on. I've got everything in a staging area. Another desk is over there. I don't know if it'll be useful, but I got a little cheapo handsaw. Probably not going to be useful, but I mean, not for this anyway. Let's bring out the main event. The main event. It is what I did to your mother last night. I mean, no, I'm kidding. It is a pipe, a PVC pipe. And you probably, yeah, there it goes. You can probably see a little bit of scoring right over here where I actually was sawing away with this knife because I was like, maybe I can get through it. Maybe PVC is weak enough that I can cut through the pipe with just a knife. And no, it is not. It's not at all. Let me feel like some of this is too bright. Is that better? Maybe off to the side a little more. I do have the main light on behind me as well. That's a bit better. Yeah, it's not as glaring. Now this is white anyway, and white's going to pop. But yeah, this 2-foot chunk of PVC was 13 bucks, I think. So you can see I've already measured 7 inches out. 7 inches is scientific something something. Anyway, for ears on a matched pair to mimic human hearing, you want 7 inches between the two of them. And the fun bit about this is I took one of my ears in to Lowe's And I played around and I found out that this size pipe is literally perfect for the base of the ear without any adjustment to that. Now you can see the ear sticks out a bit. I might make it less flush like that so it sticks out a little further so I have a little more gripping space there. Now you can see there's a pretty sizable gap in the sides here, and I was initially going to have to precision cut some pipe insulation. Now normally pipe insulation goes on the outside of the pipe. That's what she said. To protect like copper pipes, which if the copper pipe is running like super hot or super cold liquid through it, then the pipe can freeze and you don't really want that. And you can lose a lot of energy with the pipe being exposed. So you wrap this, it's a pool noodle. It's a glorified pool noodle. You wrap the glorified pool noodle around. And I was going to find one that fit inside of there and have to precision cut all these edges and then somehow glue it to the ear. And I was like, man, that's a lot of work. Well, that's why you ask the people at Lowe's to help you, because even though he had no idea what ASMR was, what this ear was, he thought it was really weird. He was giving me sidelong looks the whole conversation. But he had no idea what it was, but I was like, this is silicone, and I want it to fit in here like this. And I showed him the fit. I'm like, I need something to fill in the sides. And he said, head over to aisle 2 and pick this up. What better than silicone glue and sealant for windows, doors, other leaky parts of your house? What better than silicone to fill in a gap with silicone in it? Hey! So this is also like a self-squeeze, so I don't have to get anything special for it, as far as I know. 10-year mold-free sealer. 30 minutes rain ready. It will not shrink or crack, it says. Will not blemish metals. Not that we're going to have metals in here. We won't be able to do everything building this mic. I do have some other stuff planned for the stream, and I'm keeping an eye on time. Theoretically keeping an eye on time. Let me pull some more stuff out. So here we get into the theory moreover. So I've got some hinges. These were super cheap, like $2. I've got 4 hinges. I've got small screws. Now I did a quick sight estimate of these screws, and they're going to go, you can see kind of how thick that edge is. They're actually going to go through the edge a bit. These small screws. Maybe just the tip sticking out. That's the opposite though. Normally it's just the tip. And never mind. So we've got that. We've got our pipe with the 7 inches already marked. Permanent marker. Shout out to the brand, the myth, the legend, Sharpie. I am not sponsored by Sharpie either, but this silver marker I have found to be a perfect complement for dark surfaces to their black marker. And I, at one point, used these a lot more. As a percussionist, I would write my name on my instruments so people didn't confuse them with other people's. Got in big trouble with that in grad school because even though I explicitly told the instructor, I am going to be writing on a portion of the school-owned instruments with a permanent marker. Is that okay? And he said yes. He then came to school after summer break, where I had been busy all summer marking every single one of hundreds of instruments all over the school. with permanent marker in a spot where it did not show up to the audience as the audience observed it. But it was easy to find and large enough to see at a glance so that I could keep track of where every single instrument was every minute of the day. And if one of them wandered off somewhere else and someone didn't bring it back, I could say, this instrument is supposed to be up here according to the spreadsheet I made. Where is it? And then we could look on all, let's say the marimbas. We had like 6 5-octave marimbas while I was there. That might mean nothing to you. Marimba basically is a fancy xylophone. Everybody knows xylophone, so I'll reference xylophone. Marimba is a larger, deeper xylophone. That sounds very nice when played with mallets. So I could say Marimba 3 is supposed to be in the performance hall. Where is it? And someone could have come up to me and said, Marimba 3 is actually in practice room 15. And I would say, well, who put it there? And they would say, I don't know, but that's where I found it. And then we would go get it and drag it up. And that way we didn't pull one from another practice room that was supposed to be in that practice room. Well, he got angry at me for writing, and he gave me fingernail polish remover to use on wood, mind you. A lot of these instruments had wooden frames. He gave me fingernail polish remover with acetone in it to rub on the wood frames and get the permanent marker off. And he questioned me, do you do this to your own instruments? I said, yes, sir. I have marked every instrument, every music stand, every single one, not only with my name, but also with a serial number unique to me. So I had cymbal stands 1 through, 13, something like that. I had snare drum stand 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 5 was the concert stand, so I might have put SS5CS for concert stand and snare stand. Anyway, permanent markers are great. I don't know why I just told that whole story, but this is the just chatting section, and we are not following the Twitch meta. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think Twitch allows me to make fun of them. But I will say we're not following the Twitch meta, and we don't like it. Well, yeah, they're boring. They don't do anything. They just stand there and sometimes shake back and forth. And sometimes they have streams of a game that they are probably not playing. They're probably just streaming someone else. Anyway, let's get into... I have no idea the TOS on Power Tools, but I do have a Hitachi jigsaw. Now this, I believe I can flip this forward, which is probably what I will do, but I might not. So it is very heavy duty, very, very heavy duty. I've used it a bit. Again, when I was a music student. I don't know what that does. I ought to check. Anyway, when I was a music student, and I had a cymbal that would crack because I was playing it too hard, or I bought it used and someone had cracked it, I would cut a little arc out of the cymbal, and that would save the cymbal. Now, the cymbal did not sound as good without a portion of the disc. Like, in order to get a proper cymbal sound. But it did not sound bad. That was the big part. So I used this jigsaw a lot when cutting out cymbals to prolong their use, rather than throwing them away or melting them down and reusing them. I would just cut a little bit out. As long as the crack wasn't too far toward the bell, the cymbal could be saved and reused, and it didn't sound bad. It didn't have its former glory, but it didn't have the annoying sizzle from the crack, and it was usable. So I would buy people's used cymbals with cracks in them, as long as the cracks weren't too far, and I'd cut it out with this. Well, this is going to be used to cut this. And I don't really have a clamp to use, so I might have to put off the cutting. But the idea also here, let me put this drill down. No, this is that. But other way. Okay. By the way, I have two Hitachi tools, and they both came in this rather nice, well, not nice, carrying case. Again, another Hitachi tool. I went with Hitachi because they were moderately priced. They weren't the cheapest, so I knew they would last a bit, but they definitely weren't the most expensive. Ooh. Why has that got spider webs on it? I mean, other than being out in the garage for a long time. Pardon me, I must get the spider webs off. I hope no spiders live inside of this thing. That would be weird. We have our Hitachi power drill as well. You can see I have a corded power drill because that is stronger, more power than the battery powered one, and you don't have to fuss with the battery. This also means it's super duper safe because literally there is no power while it is not plugged in. This also has a screw hole for a side handle. If you are drilling constantly, you can 13 volt. I hope my my breaker will last with this running. I don't know that I'm going to do this one today though. I might do this one another time. But this up. But pressure, I hear some of you saying. Power tools are scary. I could never use a power tool. Well, you can, and they're not that scary. It is obviously a little scary to think about, like cutting off your thumb, but if you're doing it right and you follow directions and you look up safety information, you'll be fine. I am doing this project partially to see if I can, and partially because it's way cheaper. I told some of y'all, I'm sure, that buying a 3DO, KU100 is the other one, buying a 3DO, the cheapest one is $400 US, and it has a 2-week waiting list. Not that I mind waiting 2 weeks for something, mind you. But that's the standard. It's not holiday, it's all year long. Standard 2-week waiting period because they can't keep them stocked. Everybody's buying them. Their most expensive model, again with a 2-week lead time, not counting shipping, is $2,000. And I was like, wait, silicone ears are like $7 for a pair. And the box it comes in, if it's machined metal, yeah, that's something. But it doesn't look all that expensive to manufacture. It's not super strong, or it doesn't appear to be super strong. It's just a smooth, like, metal box that they stuffed the microphones and the power cords in. And then at the back, they have a couple switches, which I won't have. It's like a bass roll-off switch, which, I mean, unless you're a super audiophile nerd and you're using it for not just ASMR, but you're like recording live bands with it, or stage plays, or something like that. Stage plays in a area that's really, really live, like echoey. I could see the bass roll off switch being effective, and it has a mute switch or button, and then it will have two XLR outputs. Now, XLR is standard for microphones. Do I have one around? I don't have one available, but if you look at it, there's going to be 3 prongs in an XLR, arranged about like that, and you plug them in your mom. No, I'm kidding. Man, I need somebody to call me on my BS. So, what's going to happen after I cut the 7-inch section off? And by the way, there's so much pipe left over. Whoa! When we're done with this section, I can actually make 2 more if I wanted to. And then I'd have one for just about every member of your family. Oh, I'm kidding. So, yeah, I could potentially sell 2 of these for less than $400 and make back the amount that I spent. So after I cut off the corner here, or the 7 inches of pipe, I'm going to cut the pipe in half, probably in half on both sides. So it's a half pipe. I'm going to put these hinges in one side, like along and along, so that I can pop the top of the pipe up and close it. Like that. Eventually, I might put a latch on this other side. Now, the reason I am enclosing, and I thought a lot about this, there has to be a reason. That was a weird... there has to be a reason. I am all sorts of mixed up today. There has to be a reason that they contain the microphones inside a sealed box in both cases. By the way, the KU100 is the other really popular one, and that one costs about $10,000 US. And who has that kind of money laying around? Not me. Probably not you. I see a lot of VTubers, ASM artists who get into that, who do it regularly, and they will crowdsource it. So everybody in the chat, let's pitch together, and we will put all the donations for this donathon or whatever toward the KU100. And you can crowdsource something like that if you have a lot of people. But, yeah, most of us are not enthusiastic enough to get the full dummy head, the KU100. So we would go with the 3DO. Between us, I think the 3DO sounds better. Don't tell KU100 enthusiasts. But it also depends on your setup. Like I've got under here, you won't be able to see it, but it is an audio interface from PreSonus. There were 2 of them that the music school recommended that I went to. Focusrite's Scarlett line is really good for XLR and instrument cable connections, and they said PreSonus was a little bit cheaper. But yeah, anyway, the Focusrite Scarlett is, as its name implies, a red case. And the PreSonus audio box, which mine they have discontinued because I bought mine like 7 or 8 years ago. The PreSonus is blue and black. So I was like, do I get the red one or do I get the blue and black one? I think the PreSonus was just a little bit cheaper. Focusrite was like prestige priced up, even though they were roughly the same thing. And some people said they could tell the difference between the 2 sounds, and I couldn't. So I was like, do I get the blue one that's slightly cheaper, or do I get the red one that more people use? And I was like, let's get the blue one that's slightly cheaper. So that's that's why I got PreSonus Audio Box, and it's been okay. And I recently figured out with the ASMR stream yesterday that I could plug in to my PreSonus, and I could run those secondary condenser mics just straight through the audio interface and into my streaming software. Big plus. Big plus. Because initially I was having to run them through a digital audio workstation, a DAW, which is used for recording, mixing, and mastering music. I was having to keep the DAW open that I'm using to record the cover that I'm working on, if I ever get that thing done, in order to hear the microphones through Streamlabs, which I'm using. And I turned on the audio box yesterday first, before I opened the streaming software, had the mics plugged in and working, and then I opened the streaming software and it works that way. It doesn't work if you open the streaming software first and then you plug the mics in. Or open the streaming software and then turn the audio box on. You have to do it the other way. And some of this stuff, it's just how it works. Like, you can't plug them in different orders. You got to go in a specific order to start up, and figuring that out is a big pain in the you-know-what. So, we've got our pipe. We've got hinges that open. We've got the ears stuffed in the side there. We've got the ears sealed around the gaps with this. He also said it was going to be possible to remove this sealant. So theoretically, there goes that one. I could put that right there. So theoretically, with this sealant, there is a way to remove it from the pipe and either replace these ears with better ears later on down the road, or well, yeah, that would be it. Like, if the ear wears out, the silicone ear, for some reason, I can replace the ear. I can theoretically pull this out of the PVC. At that point, maybe I'm lucky and I'm rolling in dough, and I'll just put out for one of the better 3DOs, but who knows? Like, 3DO is becoming very quickly the standard for, we'll say, ASMR enthusiasts who are not professionals. I will tell you, there's a particular VTuber I really like to listen to who has a KU100. Actually, there's several of them. They're all female. They all have greater than 100,000 followers on YouTube. And they put on a bit of a show. One of them cosplays a lot. She's fantastic. Cosplay looks clean, yo. Looks amazing. But yeah, she does a bit of that. And then the other one's a VTuber, and she games and sings and does the whole thing. Kind of like I do, but her model is cuter. Oof, I said it, but it's okay. Later on in the stream, I'm going to show you what I'm doing to remedy that situation. Yeah. So we're going to have this split in half. We're going to put the microphones inside. We're going to drill some holes either in the top, the bottom, or the back. Probably the top. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, we'll have the hinges, yes. The hinges are going to be great. We drill one hole probably in the middle of the top here. We have our hinge, which I have not purchased yet, over there. So, the way microphones go, right now I've got two little condenser mics that are about that long. Actually, They're a little bit shorter than this knife. We'll say from the corner there to the end of the knife. I've got 2 of them. And well, they will just barely fit, I think, if I've got them almost all the way to the edge in there. They will just barely fit. So, actually, I don't know if I can do this on the fly or not. Yeah, I can. I can totally do this on the fly. I am a professional VTuber. Are any of us really professionals? Let's add a source. Let's go screen capture, display capture. Yes. Source. We're going to add, yes, the normal display capture. We are going to change that to right there. Yes, amazing, awesome. Don't mind my screen setup, please. Let's, well, there it is. I'll move the activity feed over there. That's going to be better. I'll make this bigger too. Boink. Well, move that over. Sweet. And make this big. Okay. I was going somewhere with this. Where was I going? A video website to show you something. Oh, yes. I wanted to see. Let's go to, flip this over. YouTube. Boink. Yes, I pushed a button. The new Nags Discovers dropped today. I bet because Christmas is coming. He usually drops it on Monday and Tuesday. Disregard some of my suggestions. I am working on how to draw. Save that to watch later. Build your own ASMR mic. It's almost like YouTube knew I was coming. Where is the one that I watched? There it is. There it is.
We're planning for next year.
Okay.
We really want to have a lot of fun messing with the audience and completely blur the boundaries of what is real and what isn't. And I'm entirely sold on our DIY.
I want to show y'all what I saw that tipped the balance as I was looking for stuff. So this is going to be kind of sort of a reaction. Kind of sort of not. Awesome ASMR binaural dummy head for less than 76 pounds, if you're not familiar with that currency sign. I am going to save this if I don't already have it. Favorites. Okay. Just so I can reference this later. Now this guy and his associate are recording
Charity project we're planning for next year. And
that. They are recording a charity project. It happened last year already. And to do that, they wanted a binaural microphone.
And looking into the best ways to achieve a super realistic, immersive audio experience. Now, with a Neumann KU80 dummy head coming in at around £7,000 in.
Okay. KU80, you heard. The Neumann is, I don't know that they produce any other microphones besides the dummy head. Well, the KU80 was a while ago. I have only ever heard of the KU100 being used. This is present day production, by the way. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, there's the microphone pair. Oh yeah, we are going to open that up later. I don't care about the skipped redirect, Mozilla. So they've got their stuff up here. Virtual Barbershop, Dolby. Oh, they've got that. That's pretty neat. So £7,000 was the KU80, and I'm not sure on the conversion rate pounds to dollars, but I believe pounds are worth slightly more, so that would be, well, we can look it up. 404 error. They don't have the microphones anymore. Okay, so I'm going to have to look up some microphones because I do not want necessarily, let me hide this for a second. I do not necessarily want microphones that are that long inside the tube. Partially because it is really difficult to mount inside of a tube a microphone that is half the length of the tube, especially if I'm going to have to run cables, and the mic cables that I run are a little thicker than this wire, and they don't bend very well. The cables don't bend very easily or in a short distance because they were designed to protect the sound, the electrical signal from radio waves and from other cables lying nearby. So you can stack a whole bunch of those cables together and they won't interfere electrically with each other because they've got their own protection. Insulation. Insulation is the right word. Let's go back and watch just a little bit.
In the UK, and cheaper options such as the 3DO FS series not really cutting it for us, probably in no small part due to the lack of a physical head. In typical present day production style, we thought we would try and make our own, and the results have been pretty incredible. We're really pleased with some of the recordings we've captured, and we've been truly able to mess with people's minds when we've invited them into the studio to have a listen on headphones. So stay tuned to the end of this video for some audio examples as well as a binaural music track I mixed specifically for this video. But
yeah, so these guys were a big inspiration for getting me thinking. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do the full dummy head, not this time around, because I do not believe it is as important. See, for the dummy head initially, and let me flip this over again. The dummy head microphone initially was designed for mimicking the human ear for capturing sounds as much as possible. So they created the dummy head to get the right spacing, yeah? And then they stuffed the dummy head with similar density materials to your brain, to your bones, to your muscle, what muscle there is on your face, obviously a lot in your jaw, and in your neck. So these guys did not. These guys actually used sand, which was a lot cheaper than trying to fill in the same materials that Neumann used, for example, in making their KU80 and 100. Now, Neumann has also been improving the quality of the microphones that they use for the last, 80 years. They've been at it for a very long time. At the very least, it's been the 1970s, which these guys, let me flip back over here. These guys will tell you about the history of Neumann specifically because the dummy head mic is considered the pinnacle, the $10,000 pinnacle of production and sound capturing. However, for ASMR specifically, you don't need microphones that are perfectly we sometimes refer to sound as a color, like a warm color or a cool color. We don't need microphones that are perfectly neutral in terms of the color or the sound shading. There's got to be a better word to use for that. I'm just drawing a blank right now. It's not necessary for ASMR to have the microphone match the human ear because we are after sounds. We are after effects more than we are after a realistic retelling of a performance, let's say. So Neumann pursued not ASMR and capturing crinkles necessarily. They pursued capturing the human auditory experience as closely as possible. And we don't care, for our purposes, if the microphone produces a sound that matches the human ear. We just care that it has ears, right? That we can rub to produce a certain noise, or we can use an ear pick in to produce a certain noise. As long as the microphones are producing a scratching, rubbing, or other noise, it matters less that they are coloring the sound one direction or another. Warmer, cooler, crisper, crispier than one would normally hear the thing, or drier, or wetter, or whatever other terms they use to describe the sound. It just hit me again that most of our sound descriptors have to do with touch, feel, and sight, and not the actual sound itself. Warmer and cooler is literally temperature perception, but we use it all the time talking about the flavor of the microphone. Flavor is something that I like to use to describe things. But yeah, the warmer mics will use a lot more, I believe, mid-range. Cooler mics will be cooler and crisper, will be more focused on the high-end sounds. You'll get a lot less of the you get a lot more of the like K sounds, etc. So these guys, let's skip ahead just a little bit. There's the history of it. They tell you about that. I encourage you to go watch it. It's fascinating. They've got the barber shop.
Conversational pieces. The barber starts cutting your hair, and it's an incredibly convincing recording. I've listened to this so many times over the last few years, and I genuinely still struggle not to turn around and see who's behind me. We'll leave a link to this in the description so you can check it out for yourselves. It's definitely worth a listen. In recent years,
Hold on. Where's that link? Recorded as a fantastic learning tool. Personal transcript. Test master service. Oh, there it is. Virtual barber shop. Open audio. How old? 16 years old, from Frankfurt. Okay, we are saving this roughly 5-minute long ASMR experience. You can actually see in my side view a lot of ASMR artists I watch and listen to, except for this one is a suggestion. She's heavy on the visual ASMR, it looks like. Yeah, Patra is the one who uses the KU100 a lot, that they talked about a little bit. Who else? Oh, somebody else. Yes, this guy. This MFer. Hold on. Cut that. Whoop. Y'all are going to have to check him out yourselves. I would like a... Let me refresh this. Yes, there he is. Okay. So this guy, right now, he is... He is literally shaving a it's a Blue Yeti. He is shaving a Blue Yeti with real tools. And this man is more dedicated to ASMR than anybody else I have ever encountered. As evidenced, something else you can see kind of down here. Well, no, you can't. I will put this up in another. He made his own dummy head microphones, and I think most of his open up. So let me where is it? Most of his open up, so he can replace the ears portion of it. And you can see the screws lined up around the circles where the ears are mounted, that he can take the ears off and put new different colors of ears on. Let me flip back over here. So, for example, he will do pink colored ASMR, and he uses a bunch of different mics. There it is. I am reasonably sure he made his own. You can see the screw there and the screw there. He made his own dummy head mics. And then he will put, for a visual aid, he'll put the dummy head in various locations, and he'll have in the background what he's doing to make the sound that he's doing. Please don't judge my clips on the side here. I experiment with a lot of different ASMR and roleplay things. I do not have twin drills to use. But anyway, this guy, ASMR Zeitgeist, with almost 3 million subscribers. And just think, you in the future, you could be the ones to push him over that 3 million. 8D, he calls it. He does, like we would consider like 3D to be listening all around the mic. My mic right now is just listening to what's in front of it, which happens to be me. But I have a setting where I can put it 360 because I also have this mic. Mine is just newer than his. With the 4 different patterns here. Cardioid is my current setting. He's got a stereo, he's got binaural, and he's got omnidirectional. Then you've got a gain on the mic. Mine has a couple more settings because the gain and the pattern buttons are both digital. So it's got some additional guts in there that I can program stuff. Anyway, this guy, and I just showed you one of his dummy heads. He's got a bunch with different expressions, which I think visually adds a lot more. This lady, Ella ASMR, as well, does some good stuff, I believe. I think it's Ella. If she is the... Hold on. Is she... Yes. She is the Korean who does tech-based ASMR. So she's got a bunch of lights, a bunch of tools that make weird noises, futuristic noises, one might call it. And she will do like robot repairs on the listener. Very, very cool. His stuff, the most authentic ASMR I think I've ever seen or heard. His studio or his storage room has got to be like an entire house worth, with how many different colored objects he has, like pinks and reds and greens, and with how many different microphones he uses, even in the same video. And he will edit clips together sometimes. So like he'll do the initial version, let's say it's just shaving the mic, and then he will layer it with, let's say, brushing a wig on a dummy head. Or he'll do the solo of the brushing the hair, and then later on in the video he might layer them both side by side, so you get extra layers of stuff. Anyway, let's go back.
Dolby Atmos has come into play, and this uses a binaural algorithm to translate an Atmos mix to headphones. With companies such as Apple Music implementing it for their music library, and most modern films being produced with Atmos in mind, a scalable system that can produce immersive surround sound over various numbers of speakers, but that can also be mixed down to translate to headphones, is still in its early stages, but shows large potential to grow.
But I've been experimenting.
Anyway, this was 2 years ago, and I'm sure Atmos has developed quite a bit more, and with AI, it's probably going to get even better at producing stuff for a whole sonic environment instead of just left and right, which they do eventually. Let me squeegee it along. So they call this Mr. Blokey, the dummy head that they bought for £18, which would be estimated $25 US. Actually, if you look there, it's got kind of a line where the ear comes around, and you could potentially just finish drawing that line and cut out that plastic ear and put in your silicone ear in order to create the dummy head. But in my mind anyway, it's going to be the enclosed space here to prevent the mics from picking up any sound from what would be the center of the head. You're basically closing the sound off so it can only come in through the two sides, through the two ear canals. And then, having that enclosure is very important, and having good quality mics. They don't have to be super quality mics. They could be just about anything, but they need to be small enough to fit inside. And actually, this is the kind of mics that a lot of the time, sorry for the quality, I don't control YouTube's quality here. I've never listened to Heather Feather. It's 8 years old. 9 different mics. Anyway, that size mic is going to be a lot easier to fit inside, right? A lot easier to fit inside the PVC pipe or this. So they make the, oops, where'd it go?
He proved to be not too far from the measurements of James's own head, so we stuck with him. For microphones, we decided to use traditional lavalier mics for ease of mounting, so Amazon to the rescue again.
They bought these on Amazon for £58, or if I were to estimate, like $60 US. This may be 65. Comica, interesting. Omnidirectional is kind of sort of important. Because you may not notice until you plug your ears, but you can actually still somewhat hear sounds from the outside. And part of that is coming in through your fingers, and part of that is coming in through your skull, through your skin. It's still vibrating the bones in your body, and therefore you are still hearing a sound, even with ears plugged. So I will definitely be going with an omnidirectional as well. Now, if I use XLR, I'm not super sure. Now, this would be handy. True. And actually, if the cable is of this length, let me flip displays again. If the cable is of that length, here's my audio box. I am touching it right now. I run the cables out to here. They go inside the pipe and out to the microphone, and I have no further cables in my setup. It's already kind of a pain because I have 2 condenser mics on the sides, and I'll have my Blue Yeti. Pardon me if the sound cuts out a bit. So here's the Blue Yeti, which will be in the middle, and I'll get a right and a left on the Blue Yeti. And then I have 2 boom stands that come in, and I have the mics pointed up. I have the other 2 mics pointed up like this. So when I mute, I just move my mouse over, I click the mute on one. Now I'm peeking because the mic is much, much closer to my face than it was before. And then I can have these 2 working, or I can mute these 2 and have this one working. That's the setup right now. The setup in the future, I could replace some, or it's still working. Just got to position it in between the 2 monitors here. There's a monitor over here that is my secondary monitor, and there's a monitor in front, of course, which is the game monitor. But yeah, let's flip that back. So they used these mics, and Comica omnidirectional, and then they have the matched microphone pair from somebody else. I'm going to pop that up. Skipped redirect. Nope, it's still here. Currently unavailable. So oh, I see. So this microphone setup was specific to the UK, which is why it's not available in the US. So I am going to have to do a lot of research on my own to get the right kind of microphone. Anyway, they only used these for a little bit until they swapped out to the EM272 matched pair, which is not available as well, probably because it's a UK only company, or they only ship to the UK and they don't export. So that's not to say it even exists anymore. Who knows? So using a mic like this, omnidirectional, I'm gonna have to figure out how to mount that to my ear as well. Or it's possible, I suppose. Let me flip over again. Sorry if I'm making your head spin. I suppose it's possible with that little ear canal in there, or if I turn that, yeah, that's a great view. I suppose it's possible to just insert the microphone into the hole I'm going to make. And then I will have, well, let's put the pinky in because you can see. That's quite a bit of space that could potentially protect the microphone from getting oil on it or whatever else for ASMR purposes we would be putting on this ear. Definitely a lot of massage oil. I've seen people spray, and I've seen people put little plastic bags over it, little Ziploc bags, and spray the Ziploc bag instead. In any case, you got to protect your microphone somehow. And if it's actually embedded in the ear canal, well, ooh, I don't know if that was the cat or if cable just fell off on its own. Creepy. Anyway, so I'm going to have to experiment with that and seeing how that kind of thing is going to pan out. Obviously, with this kind of microphone, you can remove the pop filter there. And it's a much, much smaller microphone in that case. Now, these have clips on them because they're supposed to be used on your lapel for public speaking and engagements, lectures, preaching, if you are a religious lecturer like a pastor. So you could, these are basically ready to go right out of the box. And then I'm assuming they also come with a little fluffy cover, this brand. So we wouldn't necessarily need these because we like things to be a little crispier, a little poppier, right?
again with a matched pair of Comica omnidirectional microphones coming in at £57.95 for the pair. Links to these and the head are in the description below. Then it was out with the power tools to drill a couple of suitably sized holes in Mr. Blokey's ear canal, ready to poke the microphones through. Get them as flush as possible and then secure them from behind with a couple of blobs of blue tack. The results? Well, not bad at all for 76 quid, 1% of the cost of a KU80. Pop on your headphones now and take a listen to this.
He demonstrates it, and I will air the demonstration. Keep in mind, he has the dummy head. The dummy head, ear to ear, is slightly less than 7 inches. Just the kind of dummy head that they were able to come up with. And they do not have any filling in there. It is a completely hollow head with 2 microphones that they just put in the ear canals for the purposes of this demonstration. They will build out the dummy further. Let's have a listen.
Creepy BDSM vibe.
Mark, no, it's ASMR, sorry.
Creepy RSVP vibes. So that's...
Yeah, so I actually watched it in my volume mixer, and it emphasized the right, or was it the left? It was the left and then the right. I could be looking at that backwards though. So you heard it, if you have earbuds in, more distinctly in one ear, and then it balanced out as he went behind, and then you heard it more distinctly in the other ear, and then it balanced out again as he went in front with the crispy wrapper. And crispy wrappers are fantastic for ASMR. So, unfortunately, he did not remember that it was ASMR, and he said some other, I believe they're called acronyms, some of which were questionable, to say the least. So anyway, he goes on to explain some things. Is that the blue tack?
Hole that's 64 millimeters wide, the size of this, and then just slot this in from the inside, and these capsules fit perfectly in the little hole. So easy upgrade. So we're going to try that, and then once we've done that, we're going to fill his head with sand, because I think the more mass the head has got, the more human like it is, the better. So let's drill into his head and see how that sounds.
Yeah, so they put the guide on and they pop the ears out. The old plastic ears, they put in those rubber ears, and it produces a very nice sound. Obviously, they just rest the microphones on the inside, and with the sand filling it up, it should theoretically hold that microphone in place without too much wiggling around. I think they do use the blue tack a little. Was it blue tack or tacky? Anyway, it's some kind of tack. The same stuff you probably used in grade school. So they will put that in there. I'm probably going to use a little bit of that as well, because I don't want my microphones permanently inserted in those ears. If, for example, the process of oiling the ears and drying them off repeatedly were to dry them out and the silicone would crack, I want to be able to pull that out of the piping that I'm going to use and replace the ears with different ears, plug the same microphones back in. The mics are not going to be something I skimp on necessarily. I won't go like hundreds and hundreds of dollars in. But the whole point, let me flip over again. The whole point of it is to get just the ear sound, because that is so fundamental to a lot of ASMR. is the sound of that ear being rubbed, and the ear pick, the traditional Japanese ear pick, being used on the ear canal, and the fluffy bit, the bonten. I think it's the bonten. Could be a different thing that sounds similar to bonten. I'm working on Japanese. I haven't gotten very far, and we might still have time to cover that in this stream. But yeah, so let me pop back. Well, no, we're pretty well done with that. But well, no, I want to show you again, just in case. It is present day production. They have about 45,000 subscribers. And this is binaural dummy head building. And you can look that up and you can see probably 2 or 3 dozen people who have built their own. For anybody new, let me find that. Ooh, there it is. For anybody new. Oop, I'm looking on the wrong screen. I am going to be using a piece of PVC pipe and putting the ear inside of that. Cutting the pipe in half. Put the hinges on half. Just 2 hinges. I've got 4, but they're really cheap. The hinges on half of it so that it flips up and down and I can access the guts. I'm going to get a hinge. The hinge is going to wrap around there. The ears already fit snugly there. And then I'm going to use silicone. It's gone. My silicone glue tub. There it is. Silicone sealer for windows, doorways, other stuff is going to go in the cracks around there to seal it in. And then, theoretically, I will have an enclosed container for the 2 mics. I'm going to drill one more hole out the back where the cables are going to come out, and then I've got an audio interface set up right there that I use for my normal ASMR streams. For the condenser mics that I use in addition to the Blue Yeti. Now, don't get me wrong, you only need, theoretically, 2 mics that are sensitive, or one that has some kind of binaural pattern. A stereo pattern, bidirectional, that's the word, bidirectional pattern. The Blue Yeti is $100 US, comes with software from, well, it's an offshoot of Logitech. I think Logitech absorbed it into their company, but it matches. Let me do another quick little show here. I want to, let me pop that out. Well, we might use that later. Let me show you the Logitech thing. Not trying to sell you a Logitech, but there we go. So you can see I actually have 3 Logitech tools. The computer recognizes it. The computer put it up. And the Yeti, you can adjust your noise gate, compressor, limiter, all the good stuff, in addition to pitch, ambience, effect, all for $100. So unless you're really, really good at mics, if you just want to jump into ASMR and have a good mic that you can use for your other stuff, this is the one I recommend for that. So you can also fine tune all of these from the same thing and create profiles. As you can see, I have ASMR profile, which swaps the mic to a binaural configuration. Unfortunately, it also populates with every single supported game that it's got. And you can create, if you want, a sound profile for all of those. It's kind of obnoxious. So, now that we've done that, I am going to flip over to a different subject. That's right. We're going to leave this one behind for a bit. Pop my earbuds out. It looks to me like we've got about 40 more minutes for my normal stream, but this might not last that long. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Here we go. Now, I wanted to talk about learning a language that you're already kind of familiar with. And for a lot of us who enjoy both VTubers and game streamers in general, a lot of us like anime. And so being around the anime a lot, you will naturally pick up some Japanese words, right? Unless you're like exclusively listening to Korean anime or Chinese anime, both of which are emerging very nicely, mind you. I found it very difficult to listen to Korean and Chinese after listening to Japanese for nearly 2 decades, and being a big fan. So I have a couple different apps that I've used to get me going. And this one is my current muse, so to speak. So I've got a list that you can't really see. Titles like person, family, countries, months and days, time, number, school 1, school 2, restaurant, food, housing 1, housing 2, kitchen, hobbies and sports, etc. Now, I've tried a bunch of different ones because I want to lock down Japanese sooner rather than later. And I kind of know Japanese grammar. 2 basic forms. There's the present and future form, all wrapped up into one, using what we would consider infinitives or ing ending words. Is the closest translation to those. So one would say, I am singing, or to mean like right now, or you could say, I am singing and give a time, which would indicate the future. I am singing tomorrow. I am singing. And then they have a past tense. So it's a little bit easier that way. Now, scrolling down, this is how I'm practicing right now. This is a very free-form kind of app. You can go easy on it. You can go hard on it. Let me see if I can get this up. So you can kind of, sort of see we have hiragana, katakana, and kanji. And each of the terms also has hiragana underneath it, except for the katakana does not. So anything with kanji, I am ignoring the kanji for now. I physically cannot keep track of it because I studied a little bit of Chinese, and with the overlap, it's just, nah. Plus, the Japanese kanji sometimes has multiple pronunciations. We're talking about even up to 4 or 5 that I've seen. That's not good for learning fast, for learning efficiently. So I'm sticking to working on my reading, hiragana and katakana. Katakana used for foreign words, and hiragana used for local Japanese words or Japanese origin words. And I have studied in other apps both of the alphabets to the point where I can read well enough to get by. And I can sound out the word, and I'm trying to memorize the look and the characters with the sound of the word with the title. So in this case, what are we in? We're in the one called work. 24 words in this list. Then you have a reading test and a meaning test. And the reading test is real simple. Let me flip into that. So it'll say manager. And then we have 4 choices. And you can pick which option and check it. Shacho is this bottom one. Uketsuke. Ginko, that's bank. That's not going to be it. Bucho. So shacho and bucho are both authority figure. Shacho, I'm going to guess shacho in this case. I was incorrect. It was bucho. Okay, shacho then is CEO or company president. And then bucho is manager. There's another one that ends with chio. Document, we have techu, bucho again, that's not it. Shiryo, that's not it either. Yasumi is rest. Techo is Techo is hand. Te, they use that kanji for hand. Cho in this case, this would be a not a dictionary, a journal or schedule. I have studied this particular section before. So document is not schedule. It's not bucho, which is manager. We just found out. It's not yasumi. You've heard oyasumi nasai. Have a good night, basically. Or hiru yasumi, lunch break. So it is most likely shiryo, even though I probably said it was not shiryo because it sounded different. There it is, correct, yay! Company is probably kaicho. Kaicho, yay! So that's how that section goes. Let's, okay, and quit. There is a hard mode, but the hard mode for this particular app, you need to have a Japanese keyboard, and I don't. So we go on, and I'll say them out loud, and I'll say what they are. So this one, shigoto, job. Arubaito, part-time job. Kaisho, company. Ginko, bank. Yasubi, rest or vacation. Hiru yasumi, lunch break. Zangyo, overtime. Jimusho, office. Jimusho. I think the AI voice is cutting off the mu a little bit, just from what I've heard. Kojo, fabric. Uketsuke, reception. Ugetsuke. Kaigi, meeting. You can check over here. That's what I'm doing occasionally. Kaigishitsu. Kaigishitsu. My needs more, needs less I guess. So anyway, I do this when I'm at work on the bus, and I'll just repeat those words, and then I'll go to the next one, which is city, and then the next one, which is post office, and the next one, which is trip. I've already finished body once. The other section also involves some matching, and they'll give you the word, well, let's look at it, the meaning. So we've got a list of the words in Japanese, and we've got the meaning in English. And for me, because I'm trying to get everything memorized, I'll start with the Japanese and I'll try and find it on there. Kaisa-kun. 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 I actually have no idea. I haven't looked at it for a while. Omawari-san, police officer. So then I look for police. Oh, there it is. And it disappears. Uketsuke, reception. There it is. Bucho, we just said was manager. Yep. Kacho. Section head? Yep. Meshi. Meshi? Sounds like food. Meishi. Meishi. Okay. Visit card. Kaisho. Company. Shacho. President. CEO. Kojo. Fabric. Oh, Keisatsukan. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense, doesn't it? Those of you who know a little bit of Japanese. Keisatsukan. Police officer. So it'll do that for all 24 terms, and then it'll present you with basically the same thing you had in the meanings section, in the reading section rather, but instead of reading the English and looking for the Japanese term, you're reading the Japanese and looking for the English term, as sort of a double whammy on the meaning there. But learning the language is about daily activity more than it is about putting in like multiple hours, because you'll never remember it in that case. Like you can put in 5 hours of work and you will forget 90% of the stuff, or you could daily go back and I just repeat those 3 or 4 sections and their meaning. And then 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I'm done with that. And then I come back later and you could tell I've learned a good chunk of them. Some of them I'm still a little iffy on. So if I'm still iffy on a couple of those, I go back and I continue to repeat that whole section until the ones that I'm less comfortable on, I'm not guessing anymore. I know them. There are, of course, a bunch more up there. I have a lifetime subscription to Rosetta Stone because I thought that was going to be the best one. And it's great for intermediate study, I'm going to say. The Rosetta Stone phone app is great for intermediates who already know how to read, who already know the basics of grammar. So all you're doing then is learning the words and associating them with pictures, because that's what you do in Rosetta. They have a set of stock images, and they will teach you phrase by phrase, sentence by sentence, and sometimes you'll be listening to it and hitting a picture. Sometimes you will see the picture and have something written under it, and the question up there will be like, who's wearing red? And you'll have to pick like daughter or the old man or something like that. Who's wearing red? The daughter. Yeah. I tried to learn Chinese and Arabic through Rosetta Stone, and very, very slow. Very, very slow, because they do not give you a translation in the app. They might give you a translation on the computer. They don't give you a translation inside the app, so it's very difficult to learn if you are a person like me. Now, it is total immersion, which is cool. You're learning it as if you were a baby. Unfortunately, you don't have 5 years, as babies do, before you enter school in order to listen and understand. They start throwing the book at you very soon. So what I'm doing is I'm doing this basic stuff, and this app is called Koban, C-O-B-A-N, and is available in a free version and a paid version. I have the paid version. But the way they laid this out is very, very simple, easy for someone who's got an organization-based brain like me. They have N5, which is the lowest level, N4 and N3. And these are the standard Japanese as well. So like, you'll do an introduction if you don't know much. Then you'll do vocabulary, and in the vocabulary you have nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, expressions, and lesson words. And 538 nouns, 126 verbs. You have a very concrete goal for every single one of these. 71 adjectives, 66 adverbs. This is all in that section. If you switch to N4, you've got kanji, to meet the level 4 requirement, you have vocabulary, another 457 words on nouns, 250 verbs, 60 adjectives, and 93 adverbs. Your kanji, 94 kanji and 99 kanji. So it's divided into two different lists there. 200 kanji for N4. I guess for N5 you aren't required to learn kanji. I'm going to cross the N4 bridge when I get to it. And then N3 is only kanji. So 100 more kanji to get to N3. Again, a national standard for the national standard rather for Japanese proficiency, N5 through N1. So yeah, by the time you're done with N4, you should have all the grammar you need theoretically to speak Japanese. And at this point, you're just learning reading N3. I know for N2 and N1, I think it's 2,500 kanji you are supposed to know the meaning of. And I don't know how many readings, like how many different pronunciations we'll say you need to know. But I heard Japanese uses approximately 2,500 kanji. So, knowing your kanji, or if you're studying Chinese, your zi is very important for reading in that society. And I feel like that's a dangerous term to use, especially in today's society. I think that's a better term. I think that getting through N3 and being able to read all of the stuff here and speak all of the stuff here, you will be able to travel to Japan, just based on my experience with the N5 level and looking at these other two. I think you would be able to learn enough to go to Japan and be just fine. Now, I've got one more thing I would like to show. And this is more of a catch-up and update for my current viewers. Let me swap to this one. And as the screen says, I will, bada bing, bada boom. We are back. Okay. So let me tell you a little bit about the journey up to this point. So I am indeed a VTuber, despite having basically a PNG at the side. I do have a working 3D model, and it was free. And it is functional, which is all I need it to be for right now. But in the future, I will need it to be more. So I decided I was going to take up drawing. And apologies for the windedness. I just ran up and down the stairs, as you probably heard, and running that quickly for me, I'm not very athletic. So I wanted to show you a little bit of what's going on here. This is a tablet from Simbans. It was about $200 to $250 US dollars, and it included the case, tablet, this half glove, which has been very helpful because it is a touchscreen and it is a real Android tablet. It will pick up your fingers, as you can see here. And so having a glove included where the bottom part of your hand where it would touch the tablet when you're drawing is very handy. Very, very handy. Yeah. It is not picking up much of anything. Now, it notices when I get close to the end there, because there's something that pops up here that's really annoying. I'll cover that later. This pen was also included. It's got a little battery inside. It's a quadruple A. I did not have any clue that they had quadruple A size batteries. I have only ever seen triple A, double A. I've never seen a single A either. Picasso tablet is the name for this one. You can find it on Amazon like I did if you're interested. And I asked some artist friends of mine. I have a friend couple at work who, one of them does 2D stuff, a lot of anime, and one of them does 3D modeling. And I asked them, some of these tablets, they have a more paper-like surface. And I asked her specifically because she is doing the 2D art, which is something that I'm working on for right now. Do you use the slick screen or do you have like a paper, a rough texture? And she said, oh, I use the slick screen. And she uses a little tablet like this. It's a bit bigger though. She uses a bigger tablet. I just wanted a simple one. This comes in 2 sizes and I think I got the smaller one. So, this is untrained. Pretty bad looking. But, you know what? I charged this up for the first time. I had to reset it by pushing a little button in the back. Yeah, these are fully functional tablets. This one obviously has a camera in the back, and it's got a camera in the front. You can load all of your info on it. Eventually, I'm going to turn it into a Twitch chat monitor, I think. So it does, where did it go? It does USB-C, and I can hook this up to the computer, or I can have it attached to the Wi-Fi and have Twitch chat scrolling down, just as an extra place to put it. Right now I don't need it. I have it on my secondary monitor over that way, running through the streaming program I use. Not that anybody's chatting with me, but this was day 1 attempt. I did not practice at all. I just put down something. I'm not sure why it's got writing on the shirt, whatever it was. So let's go back. Day 2 was the first day I did some actual training. I will hold that up a bit. So I watched a couple videos on YouTube on basic anatomy. I practiced up here triangles, circles, squares, and then this particular person, I think it was Draw Like a Sir is the account name. Draw Like a Sir, all one word. Described the shapes that he uses for his legs, his arms. This was me attempting to draw one of the mannequins or stick figures that I saw in one of his stills. And then we've got the torso and the basic head. He didn't talk about the head very much. So this was my day 2 practice. Always use a reference. There was another video that watched, well, first of all, my initial introduction was a video by that super famous guy. I always forget his name. It's not Ninja. It's the other guy that, I don't know. He kind of looks like Ninja to me. You probably saw it at one point because there's a lot of hate on it. They were throwing hate, disrespect at him because they're like, oh, he's got so much free time that he can just practice drawing. And he did a 30-day learn how to draw challenge. So I was looking at that specifically because another one of the VTubers I follow was covering that as part of a drama coverage. That's normal to that VTuber's content. It's like find the drama, react to the drama, say what's wrong with it, and then move on. So I followed that, and I saw there was another. I can flip over and show y'all. I knew there was going to be a reason I kept this up. So, the 30-day learn to draw challenge. There he is. There he is. So Sam Does Art did a reaction to the video. Let's not get into the VTuber stuff I watch. Anyway, let's click on this and see. So Sam Does Art does a lot of what I would consider modified anime style. So it's like anime with a different flavors. You can see from this one, you can see from that one. And then he also does different practicing faces. There it is, PewDiePie. PewDiePie did the learning how to do the art challenge, and this fella, Sam Does Art, reacted to it. Now, Sam Does Art is no slouch himself. He has 1.28 million subscribers and 179 videos. So I watched him react to PewDiePie. Let me flip this over. And that was something he said was always use a reference. That's one reason why PewDiePie experienced like 15 days where there was no visible progress because PewDiePie was drawing from the head, not from looking at a reference. And as soon as PewDiePie started looking at the reference, in this case, the manga that he liked, and started attempting to follow the manga style, he started banging out like banger after banger after banger right after that. Now, the 15 days where there was no visible progress, according to PewDiePie, there was actually progress because he drew a lot during those days, and drawing is half the battle. The other half of the battle is, according to this guy, I am paraphrasing here. The other half of the battle is got to do with using a reference and attempting to mimic the reference, such that over time the reference becomes better and better and better, or rather the drawing you do based on that reference. So I am using a reference always when I'm drawing, and you can get a whole bunch of free stuff online, both designed to be reference material and just on Instagram. That's one of the things Sam Does Art recommends, I believe. I believe it's Sam Does Art. It could be a different artist that I watched in between. It's all kind of meshed together. So I was watching Sam Does Art, and I wrote that down. I was also watching Draw Like a Sir, is the account name on that one. So day 3, you can actually, whoops, see a bit of improvement because I am trying out different poses. Now, these poses are not great. I did watch up here a video on how to draw. We won't get into that. Suffice to say, I heard that drawing these is the most difficult for artists. And to be honest, I am on several art sites looking, and the people who can draw these really, really good so that they look very close to real life, the rest of their artwork is just phenomenal. But that could also speak to them being very detail oriented, that they put that much detail into what we might consider the farthest away from important part of the body. Now, that detail that they focused in there is reflected in the rest. So it could go either way. I put a couple notes in here to help me out later on. Day 4. Again, more practice. And you can see I think over here I attempted a fist. Didn't work out very well, but the mannequin art is looking better. A lot better than it was even 2 days before. Come on. Then day 5, yesterday. Let's shrink that out. Okay. Oops, that's too far. I only managed this much. However, you can see I'm attempting over here some shapes that I never attempted on previous and adding in more detail. And actually, let me flip this over so it's less shiny. My goodness, so much shine off that screen. That way? Is that better? That's not much better. There we go. Okay, so you can see over here, I attempted a lot more detail on that one. Even adding like arches into the feet. Tried some musculature. So I decided I'm probably going to do like a 40-day challenge rather than a 30, because I don't think I will be able to fit all of the stuff I want to do into 30 days. So I spent 5 days doing the mannequins, doing the basic poses. I'm going to spend 5 more days doing a different, more focused in body part. So my idea in general, first 5 days, I did the mannequin. Second set of 5 days, or day 6 through 10, I focus on arms or legs. I haven't decided yet. I haven't done it for today. Arms or legs for 5 days. The next set of 5 days will be arms or legs, whichever one I didn't do. Then we're going to get into either torso, hands, or feet. Torso has a lot more detail on it than either the arms or the legs. Hands and feet, I'm consistently told by artists, are some of the most difficult to draw. So after we do mannequin, we'll say legs, arms, hands, feet, torso, in some order, hands, feet, torso. Then I'll need to do face and head. And hopefully, after 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, could be 35 days, I guess. And then put it all together for the last 5 for 40 days. After 40 days, I'm hoping that the faces come a little easier because I will have focused on other parts of the body. Now, there's another stipulation with this. Something that Sam Does Art. I think that was it. Hold on. Let me pull that back up and look. Yeah, Sam Does Art. There's something else that he said that I thought was very important, but he said in kind of an offhand manner. And that is, when you're drawing what you're drawing, you should also be drawing the attachment. So, let's say I'm doing arms. So what I'm going to do with the arm is I'm going to add the shoulder up at the top, and I'm going to add the wrist. When I'm doing the hand, when I get to that, I will do the hand, and I will do the wrist and just a little bit on the arm just to get it started. And that way, when it's my time to do hand, wrist, arm, upper arm, and shoulder, I have a smooth progression already, and I've practiced transitioning between the big points, right? So that's something else I'm going to do. I have been, for most of these, just using a single line for each of those. It's been a very intentional thing. I have an easy erase with this program. I just touch 2 fingers, and while I'm using the pen, it's very easy to be like, erase that, erase that, erase that, and I just touch 2 fingers to the screen and it pops the last line out. Well, when I get down to stuff like that, I hope it's not very reflective. When I get down to stuff like this, where there's a whole bunch of little lines that I've done, the shape looks better, but it's much more difficult to erase lines when, let's say, this thigh is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. At least 10 different lines in that one line on the back of the thigh that I did. This particular model was also very muscular, or had really, really good contrast in the light. So I drew some extra lines there to indicate where the muscle in the front, the quadricep and the rear muscle, did. Now, here's another important thing that I'm going to mention. I don't consider this 40 days the end of my art journey. I'm not going to just do it for 40 days and be like, oh, I'm done. Because, to be frank and honest, there are a lot of artists who have approached me since I started streaming, offering to draw a 2D model for me, rig the 2D model, draw transition screens, draw schedules, draw all this stuff. And don't tell them I said this, but their stuff doesn't look that great. I'm sorry. But I was like, if I'm going to get that quality, then why don't I produce my own? In addition, having this skill as a VTuber is going to be very, very good, because I can continue to update my own stuff without paying other people. The trade-off, of course, is I'm spending a lot of time doing that now. But these figures, it took about 5 minutes to draw this one. About 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. And this one, maybe 7 or 8 for the more complex model. But this was after 5 days of practicing it. So, where do I go after that 40 days, where I've spent just 5 days on each one? I am going to go to anatomy. And I'm going to study bone structure, and I'm going to draw a bunch of bones. A bunch of bones. I won't spend quite as much time on each individual part, but I'm going to draw arms, skeletal structures of arms, fingers and hands, legs, feet, toes, chest, bones, rib cage, skull. And I'm going to do my best in however long I devote to that. Let's say, rough estimate, 10 days of just drawing bones. And like every 2 days, I'll switch a body part, switch a body part, switch a body part. At the end of that time, I want to be able to draw a full skeleton top to bottom and be not only anatomically accurate and accurate with perspective, distances between different stuff. I want to also be able to do it in a efficient manner and an efficient amount of time. So by focusing on these individual things, I have sped myself up with these tremendously just from 5 days. My first 5 days, even trying to draw in an organized manner, I've sped myself up to the point that I can crank from any pose that I see, I can crank out in 5 minutes a rough mannequin of it. So we're going to see when I focus in more on the others, how that's going to develop. Concepts is the name of this. I will put it up here and point at it. This comes in the Pro version, free with the Picasso tab. But those artist friends of mine that you may remember, the one who does 3D art and the one that does 2D art, when they're on their art tablets, they use something called Ibis Paint X. This is not the most sensitive screen, but it works. It works for what we're doing. So you've got in Ibis a bunch of extra stuff that you can do that you can't do in Concepts, including the thickness of your lines, paintbrush, smudge, blur, special tools, magic wand. Like there's a bunch of stuff that you can do here. And this program has an animation software in it. So you can theoretically draw your artwork and add animation to your artwork all in the same program. And this program for the Pro version is, I think it's like $27 for a year. A year subscription to this program, $27 US, is not bad. It's not bad. And it is what you make of it. So, I've got it. I'm not really sure how to use it. So I'm probably going to use Concepts for a couple days and then play with Ibis Paint X a little more. But I've seen her artwork before because I happened to look over her shoulder when we were both on a lunch break, and she can do some really good looking anime stuff in that. Not that I'm going exclusively for the anime style, as you can tell by my AI generated art piece there. I am a fan of kind of a mixture of the anime style and a realism style. And I am grateful that that AI was able to get a general idea down in paper, so to speak, of what I wanted my original character to look like. May change the color scheme. I've been told yellow is not exactly the best. I really like the idea of yellow being a poison or an angry color, even though I'm not an angry person, and one wouldn't consider me toxic necessarily. But that is basically covering the entirety of what I wanted to in this stream, and then some, as it is now 5:05 my time. So, thank you for joining me, listening to me talk. I unfortunately do not have the technical prowess to put all of these things down in writing under the stuff yet. I'm working on a number of things: music, art, as you just saw, building that microphone and getting the materials all lined up for that. And it all takes time when you're working full-time as well. So over Christmas, I've got 3 days because I work 10-hour days. So I've got 3 days of weekend, and I will be able to put more effort into a number of these things and move them forward. Whereas during the work week, I prioritize streaming these 2 hours, because what is a content creator without content? Right? Shout out to all the V-tweeters who haven't debuted in the last 3 years of being on Twitter, and they still haven't produced any consistent content. I mean, don't tell them I said that. My Twitter account is basically just following 2 things. And I wrote once one sad post about one of my favorite VTubers who is graduating as of the first week of January. Rest in peace, Erika Biako. I hope you are reincarnated into a different company, because you were an awesome ASM artist. And man, like, I want to show y'all real quick. If I can click over, let's look down and see. Kirsche, I don't think, well, she does some ASMR, but I don't know if it's real or if it's meme. Maury Calliope, ASM artist. Not like full-time or anything, obviously. Kilia, singer. Finana does ASMR. Inami, ASMR. Rizuna, ASM artist. She's the one with the $10,000 mic. Well, one of the many. Orion is music. Yuchorin is visual and auditory ASMR. She is Korean. Zunbird, spicy ASMR. Sleep Sheep, fantastic ASM artist. Oh my gosh. She does VR and ASMR. Azehara is a clip channel. Puffle, VR ASMR. We're up to 6 or 7 now. Hayami, ASMR and games. Picon, ASMR and IRL ASMR. 8, 9. Utahime does not, as far as I know. She's just a fun YouTuber to visit. Pepero, ASMR. We're up to 10 or 11. Cat, ASMR. Erika Biako, ASMR. GB, nope. Shiori, no. Fuyo, ASMR. Fuyo, nope. Otomaki, ASMR. Tricky, no. Patra, definitely ASMR. She's another one with the $10,000 mic. Boy, what is good music. Nina, ASMR. Spring, ASMR. Has ASMR in the title. Yume, ASMR. Imokot is ASMR as well. Yozuna, new. Yozuna. I'm not super sure. I haven't seen her post for a while. Got buried in the algorithm. Yuchorin again. Amy, don't know. She's a hamster from Phase Connect. Momo, ASMR. Surai Mumu, ASMR. There's Draw Like a Sir. Lumi, some ASMR, but mostly for fun. Ella, ASMR, got it in the name. ASMR Zeitgeist. That's the guy I showed you who made his own dummy mic. Diariku is not an ASM artist. Neither is Bao. Neither is Porcelain Maid. Neither is Tenma. Neither is Henya. Yuli. I haven't seen any. Pochi Wanmaru does ASMR. Elia Stellaria. She was... Oh, yeah. I am a little far away. I could actually put the mic a little closer and turn it down a little bit now that I'm done with the hand cam. I was showing off the collection here. Elia used to be in another company. She was forced graduated. She was forced graduated, and I was so sad because her shorts were so cute and uplifting and wholesome. And then she reappeared, and now she's in, I think, Videre. Let me see. Videre, yep. I have no idea what that company is. But I saw her collabing with another. Cinder does ASMR. Are we surprised at this point? Mika from Nijisanji does a little ASMR. And I followed her just because I liked her ASMR. I don't actually watch any of these people's other streams. Toiki, ASMR. Rina, ASMR. Depressed Nosagi is just VTuber news. Renee does ASMR, and she's got a really, really sweet, low voice. She also sings fantastically. Nora? I don't remember Nora. Elira, also of Nijisanji, does some ASMR. I'm pretty sure. If she doesn't, then I followed her because her shorts are really funny. Zephyr Uwu is an ASMR artist. Project Solace, ASMR artists. Besa, VR and ASMR. The Suicide Sheeps here are electronic music, EDM, dance, dubstep. I think this is Mike Neko. Oh my goodness. That's right. I follow the spicy former HoloLiver. They're super hush-hush about it, but she does some pretty good yandere ASMR. I don't really like that she goes all in on the girlfriend experience thing, but that's for her to do and for us to either enjoy or not. And I happen to enjoy her ASMR because she sounds very genuine when she does it. Maybe a little too genuine? That's up for interpretation. No. Too many snacks is a clip channel. Malofi is, it's got it in the name. Fallen Shadow does ASMR. Cassie, nope. Not yet anyway. Mara, no. Catnaps does ASMR. Nibride does that VR chat dance and chat kind of thing. She's got a very hot model and dances. She was the Twitch meta before the Twitch meta, I guess. But she's never gone naked on stream, so props to her. Ichika, another ASMR artist. Miori, I just liked her singing. Inksy, I just liked her shorts. Aizu? Well, it's got ASMR in the title, but it's not got any notifications, so... Yeah, A-I-Z. Aizu. Schizo Parrot's a good one to check out. This one, I believe, is an ASMR channel, but I cannot read the kanji there. Metoa, I think. Shina? I'm like 90% sure she does ASMR too. Azu Reshin? Azure Lane. No way. Why am I subscribed to Azure Lane? Oh. Because of the ASMR that, I don't know if this is the lady that does the ASMR or if they bring these Ship Girls voice actors in and they do the ASMR, I haven't listened to very much of it because I think 9 months ago, when this one was fresh, it was pushed to me by the algorithm. One of the times the algorithm on YouTube has done good things. And I really liked it. So I need to listen to the rest of these and see how good they... Oh, 4 months. So they have pushed out newer stuff. It just, somehow I missed it. Well, if you have as many ASMR artists as I do on your list. Sugi Aoki, I believe, does ASMR. Giga does not. Punkalopi does not. Connor Price's music. Wuthering Waves is a game that I'm going to be playing in 2024. Stay tuned for that. If they ever drop the freaking thing, I thought they were dropping it early 2023, like January, because they advertised it in 2022. Rice Whale and Roffler are both Genshin fun-making channels. So they do the funny skits with the characters back when I played Genshin. So you can see 80% of my subscriptions on YouTube are people who do ASMR, either exclusively or as a hobby or as a addition to their other stuff. I got really distracted in that. I apologize. But yeah, that's that. I will catch y'all on the flip side. Sorry to Jet. If you have questions, you can find me here. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me in my Discord. As long as you are not an artist who is aggressively pushing your art to sell and attempting to socially engineer me into buying your art, I am more than happy to chat about a variety of subjects, including... Oh, Vezin, did you see the artwork so far? It's not great, but it's looking better than it did day one. Vezin might still be at work or driving. Where is the artwork? Okay. Real quick. Let me pop that down. Yes, it's hand cam time. Sorry I don't have Pippa fingers. For those of you who enjoy the Pipster, the conspiracy rabbit. Where did I put that? I just had the tablet. I just had it. Literally just had it. I could not have wandered anywhere with it. I wrapped it. Oh, there it is. Huh. When you put it on the floor next to your desk. And, yeah. So this, again, first 5 days worth. I'm trying not to dox myself after I spend all of this effort being a VTuber. Oops, that's the wrong program. Concepts is what I want. Okay. Cringe. This is day one. I did not practice at all. I just drew person. Yeah. Let's go day 2. Day 2, I did basic shapes, and I watched some videos and did some sketches based on those videos to help me figure out what shapes go where in mannequin drawing. Day 3. Day 3, I found a free program that has a bunch of people in poses some of them less clothed than others, I'll just put it that way. And I drew those poses while attempting to better my mannequin drawing and proportions. Day 4. A little more shape practice, and you can see the mannequins and the proportions are getting slightly more complex with the poses, especially that top one. I didn't have much time that day to draw. Back. Day 5. Let's put it sideways because that's easier. I did more and more crazy poses, attempting to get some booba on the chest for a couple of them. And I think this last one, the one on the top center of your screen, is the best representation. I even drew a little proto arch and proto toes on the feet. Some separation between the hamstrings and the quads on the leg. Basic abs. She was a very muscular model. Obviously does some kind of exercise. So this is all just using models. And each one of these took about 5 minutes to draw on its own. So we're looking at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. A little bit longer for this one, though. A little bit longer. Bottom left. Let's see. Very proportionate around the... Now I gotta, like, mirror this somehow. Bottom. Trying to think, is it this one over my finger, or is it the other one with day 5 written upside down? Yeah, so that's 5 days. The one near the edge. Okay, the one with day 5. Yeah, one of the things that one of the two people I'm using, one of them's Draw Like a Sir, and one of them is Sam Draws Art. Keep having to. Sam Does Art. Never mind. Sam Does Art. All on a very basic tablet. Yes. They said always draw with a reference. They said they gave me indications like one would consider this more of a like a long oval, but they said think of it more like a triangle, getting much narrower down there, and that makes a lot of sense because if you can see from my job, I have a certain amount of muscle up here, and it narrows a lot coming down to here. So, for your information, Vez, and just reviewing, I will be, since I did 5 days of mannequin drawing, basically, trying to get different proportions to look better, and they do look better. Of course, it won't be perfect in just 5 days. The next 5 days, I'm going to draw either arms or legs. And then after that, I'm going to draw the other one, arms or legs, because I consider that the next level of difficulty in terms of anatomy and drawing the shapes. So I draw one of those two and then the other one. Then I'm going to move on to either hands, feet, or torso, depending on which one's the most difficult. I'm going to push the more difficult ones later and do the easier ones sooner. Each case, I'm going to also be drawing a little extension. So like, let's say I get to the torso, I'm going to make sure I draw the top of the legs and the shoulders of the arms so that when I get to the full body, having already worked on the sub parts, the hands, the arms, the torso, the legs, the head, I can naturally blend all of the shapes together. And I'm going to try and do it in 40-ish days. I think I just missed today. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I just missed today. I was going to do some at the end of this one, and I spent so much time on the ASMR mic theory making and general demonstration that I just ran out of time. So maybe next Saturday I will update on week 2 of, what is 40 days? 47, 28, 35, roughly 6 weeks. I do want to take like 1 day off a week from art, so it might not end up being exactly 40 days. I'm going to try, though, and spend 5 days doing one part, and then maybe take a break for a day, then spend the next 5 days doing the other part, and then take a break for a day. Something like that. And if I do it in that organized manner, then I think it'll be very easy to track the days, even if they're not contiguous. That was a fancy word. Anyway, that's all for me. Thank you all for joining. Thanks for watching. This is very, very unusual. For one thing, this is my first hand cam ever. For two things, I like to play games on Saturdays. Generally with my sister Sandwich. That's right, Prescia and Sandwich makes Panini. So we are Team Panini, and we stream Saturdays generally through this account, the Prescia Orion account. And she's just gone, so I can't really do anything about her being out of town during Christmas season. But I will say I'm off tomorrow because tomorrow is Sunday, but I will stream on Monday, which is Christmas Day, for those who either want a break from their family or don't have family to hang out with. I'm going to stream a little bit, probably a game, because it's Monday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are definitely game days. And Thursday is general variety. So it might be something like this. It might be something, if I actually construct part of the ASMR mic, the ears mic, I will show that off. At that point, I might also on Thursday, if I've got 5 more days of art, that's not 5 days, is it? It's 4 days. But I might show off some more of the new stuff, both to keep myself accountable and to catch up anybody who's interested. And if y'all are ever like super bored with something I'm doing, you need to tell me, because I am just putting out content, whatever interests me. And in terms of the VTuber, in terms of making the artwork for it, now I've demonstrated some of that, what I'm doing to improve singing and music production. I've already talked about that a bit. Streaming, of course, streaming the games, very important. Streaming ASMR, also very important. And catch you on the flip side.